Sports during the pandemic. How have we been able to cope? I'm Eric Pesolano. I'm in the hot seat, and the three of us, we're coming in hot. Welcome to Comin In Hot right here on CIH Media. Glad you all could join us. It's our debut episode, so things are going to be a little different than the other ones that are coming in the future. We'll explain that in just a little bit. But boys, we've finally been able to do this. It's the first show. Are you excited, Chuck?
It's about damn time. That's all I could say.
Wow, you really are coming in hot. Iceman, how about you?
Hey, very excited to get on this track and talk sports. I think it's a long time coming, and for us, we're big, huge sports fans. We love to watch sports.
What sports?
All sports.
What sports?
Well, of course.
Well, we're going to get into that today.
But we love it, and we want to talk about it, so that's why we're here today.
That's what you kind of call a tease.
Oh, there we go. We got a pro in the house here, and Mr. Chuck Lasik. All right, so here's how Comin In Hot is going to work. It's our flagship show here on CIH Media. In future episodes, you are going to be able to get involved. We're going to post a question on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram about our topic for the next show, and you can ask us questions. We'll answer them right here on the show. That way you can play a part. Now, because this is the debut episode, we don't have any questions, so we're going to run this thing ourselves.
We want no stupid questions, nothing but legitimate questions the entire time. Any stupid questions will be tossed out.
I thought there were no such thing as stupid questions.
There are plenty of stupid questions. You and I both
especially
know
in the sports
that.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
It's especially in the sports world. Is absolutely
I got a
right.
stupid question for you right now. Baseball. Let's go.
Well, since we have no questions, we're going to run this ourselves. We'll see how this goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. Laser, I'm going to start with you. Our topic today is sports during the pandemic. Of course, they hadn't been happening for a long time. Things are starting to get back into the swing of things just a little bit. For you, when there were no sports going on, what were you watching? How were you keeping up? How were you getting your fix during that time?
Well, besides watching NASCAR completely just tank itself, they had the simulation drivers where, of course, Bubba Wallace himself got suspended for using the N-word. And then basically then we saw this whole, they were doing the racing without the fans and doing that. And then, of course, we had this little thing with the noose that went on, which they found out was, I guess this breaking news as well, that this was actually left by, the FBI determined it's been there for a year. So all that came out of nothing. However, it was good to see the solidarity showed for Bubba Watson right there as well. So NASCAR is kind of a close-knit group. And it's good to see the drivers. I mean, they put their lives on the line on a weekly basis like that, and it's good to see them have that camaraderie.
So would you rather them wait till fans were allowed back in, which now at this point they are, but all the other races that happened before with no fans, would you have rather waited for them to come back before they could run a race?
I don't watch racing generally, period. But, I mean, if I was going to – I don't watch it for the fans. I watch it for what the athletes do right there. And there's no reason for me – I don't care if there's fans there or not. Tell you the truth. Just give me some damn sports. That's all I ask.
Okay, so then let me move on from that topic specifically and talk about fans. We see all the soccer leagues. We saw the Korean baseball organization finally kick back up and go again. Well, it is late at night. You're right. It's hard to stay up to watch that.
It's boring. It's boring.
See, I don't think it's boring. It's baseball.
I don't care.
It's like not our game.
It's not.
I'm sorry.
It's different.
I got to interject there. It may be baseball, but it's not our Major League Baseball game. There's some differences to it and some different feel to it, but I'm sorry.
Second-class athletes? I'm sorry.
There's some former pros major league players over there.
That couldn't make it in the majors.
They're at the end of their careers, too.
All right. Well, that wasn't even going to be my question, but I'm glad we went off on that topic, and that's what you can expect from us. We're probably not going to stay on topic too much, but
Never.
What do you think about all these other leagues that started up and then piping in crowd noise over the broadcast? Are you okay with that, or do you think it's a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. Who needs that? Honestly, I'm there to watch like I said, just there to watch the athletes and watch the game itself. I don't care about the noise. I don't care about the crowd noise. Maybe if it pumps up the athletes, maybe if it brings them up to a different level, I could agree with that. But other than that, I think it's just a waste of time and waste of money.
Well, yeah, and the athletes aren't even able to hear it,
Exactly.
so it's probably unnecessary. I'm for the miking up the guys, and hey, what can we hear
I think that's
down
the
there?
best thing.
I think with golf has done a good job of that, miking up each individual players. Although the broadcasters have had to apologize for several words used on the air, but
I have to disagree with that. I've never been a fan of miking up the players. I think when you do that, it forces them to have to talk, have to say things when it's not really capturing the essence of them being in the heat of the moment. And I don't think it does the athletes any justice by putting a mic on them and then they feel like they have this pressure on them.
see, but I don't think it forces them to do anything. I think they just go out and do their thing normally. They don't really change
Listen,
anything.
I've been in those shoes. I've been mic'd up before in the middle of a sporting event. I personally, for me, I feel it. Like
5-second delay.
I feel like I have to say things when maybe I'm not in the mood to say stuff.
So you're well aware that the microphone is there. You can't just get it out of your mind when you're playing.
No, I don't like it.
Okay, well, what do you think about ambient noise then being pumped in on TV? The players
I don't
can't
like
hear it.
that either. If you're a true sports fan, you're there to watch the game, and whether there's noise there or not,
Unless there's a fight in the stands, that's all I care about.
you're gonna,
Honestly, there's no reason. There's
you're
no
gonna
other
you're
reason,
gonna
honestly.
enjoy the game for what it is. If you're there for the entertainment, I mean, I'm sorry, right now it's not going to be entertainment. But if you're a true sports fan, watch the game, enjoy it for what it is.
So I'm glad I'm surrounded by a couple of positive guys. We'll move on to the next subject, and you brought up being in the game and being mic'd up.
Yes.
You're somebody who, it's no secret, you're a hockey guy, you're a hockey coach, and while it may be summertime here in Southern California, you're usually out on the ice regularly, right? Getting the guys ready, and now this time of year
is clinic and training and off-season training and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, and with everything going on, and you're not able to partake in that as much as you would like, what do you do to get the players ready and to get all these kids developed?
We've spent a lot of time watching video. A lot of the players that I work with, trying to really hunker down into their positions, watch video. There's plenty of it, whether you're on YouTube or different opportunities, whether it's games that are being rebroadcast on TV. Watching that and just watching positions that you play on your teams, and then getting back to what you do as a player.
So now that things are starting to open up just a little bit here, are you able to get together with them? Are you able to kind of get back to
Well,
some
we've been
sort of
using Zoom,
training?
Google Hangouts, lots of different ways to communicate with them by phone. I just got off a phone call on the way here with a player that's going to a trial camp for a junior team. We talked through a lot of different situations that he'll be seeing and going through, and just kind of help him through that process.
And the next thing that we're going to talk about here is kind of goes back to one of the things you just mentioned about watching old games. I've been asking the questions here. I'm going to throw my opinion out about watching old games. I've been doing it a lot. I've watched a lot of retro games on television. I've been following Tom Brady's career and all the big games he played. I did it already. But going back and watching things from when I was younger and finding new things in those games and realizing why, specifically with him, he's as great as he is, but all the other athletes, and going back and watching, I think they showed one of Roy Halladay's no-hitters, the one he threw in the playoffs the other day, and just going back and watching things that you remember where you were when the game happened, when you were watching it, if you were there. And those are some of the things that I've been looking at.
Well, I've been watching the old Ducks rebroadcast too. The best part about it is I always know they're going to win. So that's the one thing. I remember I watched a comeback. I think it was against, it might have been against Nashville. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was against Vancouver. But they were down like 4-1 going into the third period, and they end up scoring 4 goals, actually 3 of them late, and then scoring to tie it up in like the last 4 minutes, and then basically winning it in overtime. I completely forgot about that game. I kept on going myself, wow, how are we coming back in this one? And I just kept on talking. I don't recall this and stuff like that. And just going through all this, and finally, holy cow! And it's basically you're back kind of into it. Like it kind of jogs the memory a little bit and brings back some good old memories. And it's like you said, there's things that you don't see from the previous game that you're watching. But it's.
Do you get anxiety watching it?
No,
like even though
not
you
as
know
much.
what's going to happen.
That's the tough part for me. Is like I'm not on the edge of my seat when I'm watching a game that's live and it's getting to the end of the game. Things are being heated up.
Yeah, I get that thing where like the shot comes in and like I'm moving, go, oh, shoot. Oh my gosh, watch out!
You get the body movement with the game. There's no
yeah.
doubt. And with the old games, you don't have that, especially ones that you've seen before. You know what's coming. But I think as a coach, for me, I'm trying to watch the game to see things that I can maybe teach the players that I work with.
So with things starting to come back into the fray, of course, we talked about some breaking news today. Baseball, they're starting to get back into it. They're going to play a 60-game season. Are you guys excited to watch it, or are you just so mad from everything that happened that you don't care anymore?
It's just, you know what? Every time baseball keeps coming back, and we'll be talking about this later, it just shoots themselves in the foot, honestly. I can't imagine. I mean, who during this time wants to watch a bunch of millionaires and billionaires argue during a pandemic when some family, or when a lot of families are worried about putting food on the table? That's the last thing you want to hear about. And all these guys are doing is complaining about what kind of percentage of the millions and billions of dollars that they're going to make. It's absolutely asinine. Baseball should be very, very ashamed of itself.
I mean, I'm going to still watch. I'm not
I'm
turning
gonna
away
watch
from
it.
it.
Most definitely. Baseball's our game.
Yep.
It's hopefully something that can bring us together in these crazy times. But for me, I love baseball.
10 games, and then they're going to have it's going to come
I'm-
out.
I'm a hockey guy through and through, but I am a huge baseball fan, and I can sit on an afternoon game and watch the Cubbies on TV.
Good for you on that one.
I did that.
Uh-oh.
I did that growing up. Watching TBS, watching the Braves and WGN.
Thank you. Now we're
you
back.
know,
Yeah.
so
White Sox used to be on WGN too. So
so
they did.
so I enjoyed those days. I remember those fondly, and I can still do that today. My hope is that I can get back to a stadium and watch a game. I love going to the park. I love having a brat and a Coke or a beer if that's your pleasure.
I have always said that I cannot wait to get back to the ballpark to have a cold hot dog and a warm beer.
that's about right.
That's how baseball goes. So when it comes back and they start opening up again, are you going to wait a little bit, or are you going to be in stadium on opening day? Do you think you're going to feel safe enough?
No, I don't think I'll be in stadium opening day, but I definitely would be going to a game as soon as possible. Get to the Angels game, and we go to a couple every year, and I always try to tell myself I'm going to be a bigger Angels fan than I was the year before. It never totally works out, but for whatever reason, I'm just hoping for maybe something I can cheer for.
Sometimes it's tough to do. Just be a better Angels fan right now. But hey, when they get back to playing again, maybe they'll win some games.
Hey, listen,
and then everybody will get excited.
Learn
again.
how to pitch too.
The neat thing for me, come from Minneapolis, St. Paul area. The halo at the stadium is a neat part of the tradition of what the Angels are. I always enjoy driving down the 57 or up the 5 freeway and taking a look over to see if the halo's lit up, see if the Angels won.
Yeah. Let me go back to a point Chuck made just a second ago, talking about the players and owners arguing over how many millions they're going to make this season. Do you think them mentioning the safety for them and their families with this pandemic going on might be a smokescreen to everything that they're trying to pitch to the owners?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you look at I can understand like a guy like Trout. His wife is pregnant. She's due coming up pretty soon, and the last thing you want to worry about is if you almost have to be kind of quarantined from her because you're not going to be able. And who knows what's going to happen during that? And I'm just wondering. And let's say you have other guys coming through with maybe on the cusp from last year, coming back from injuries that career or season-ending injuries from last year. Do you really want to sit there and waste your time on a 60-game season? I think it's going to be a lot of watered down. You're going to have 30. They're talking 30-man rosters right here as well. I think it's going to be a watered-down product, to tell you the truth.
I saw a tweet the other day that said it was from a Mariners fan who said the Mariners are definitely going to win the World Series this year because no one's going to be there to see it in person, and that's just the way it's going to go down for them. They know it. They know that that's going to be the thing. Well, I mean, if you look at Major League Baseball and the players talking about how some of them fear for their safety a little bit with the pandemic still going on, do they look to the Korean Baseball Organization, who has done a pretty good job? You haven't heard of any positive tests coming out of that league, and they haven't had to shut it down yet. They've been doing pretty good. Do you think there's been any communication there to try to figure out what to do in Major League Baseball?
Well, you'd think that they would, but I think that Major League Baseball is kind of on their own planet a little bit. So,
they call the shots?
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure they're going to be running off and asking for advice in a whole lot of other places.
On top of that, don't forget, they just closed down the Blue Jays and the Phillies for, I mean, at least 2 weeks right there is what you're looking at. And so, I mean, there's two teams right there that are going to be behind the 8 ball already when they decide when the season starts, because these guys are at least going to be a week behind.
Well, and the Red Sox moved their spring training back up to Boston just to get away from the Blue Jays and Phillies, who were close to them as far as spring training is concerned. Let's look at the NBA real quick, because they have already created the bubble that they're going to use down there in Disney World in Florida, where they've invited a number of teams, those who have a realistic shot to make the playoffs and those who are going to make the playoffs. Do you think that bubble format is going to be adopted by other leagues. We know the NHL has talked about it, and they're going to do the 2 hub cities. The NBA has got it down to 1. And do you think it's going to work, especially with the cases in Florida rising as we speak?
Well, I was just going to mention that Florida obviously is, we're seeing a resurgence of COVID. So unfortunately, I just don't see it working out there. There's too many.
Do you think they'll ever start?
I don't think they're ever going to start. I think they're going to run into too many roadblocks and too many shutdowns in areas that they're just not going to be able to get it off the ground.
I'd be shocked if it starts. And honestly, if it does start, I'd be shocked if they get to the playoff portion of it. I think it gets shut down and it's quote unquote.
That's my worry with the hockey world, is that they're going to get into it. They'll have the 2 hub cities. They'll start playing, and then they're going to have 5, 6, 7 guys come down with it in one shape or form, and then they're going to have to shut it down for maybe they say, okay, we're going to shut it down for a couple weeks, and then try to go back to it, and just never get back to it.
So you don't think the NHL is going to finish either?
I don't think the NHL will finish either.
But you think they'll start?
I think they'll start.
And we found out, too, that they've narrowed it down to 6 hub cities, and LA and Vegas are 2 of those 6. So
Yep. Yeah. Well, Vegas has been the eye of everybody for whatever reason. I think in the NHL, everybody's kind of kept a close look at that, and people are hoping that Vegas is the spot. And of course, why not?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you're a player, where's a better place to be quarantined than Vegas,
You know?
honestly?
Do you think they have something to worry about with that then, now that you bring that up?
No, I mean, of course you do. I mean, because you have people flying in all over the world who actually do. Are we allowed to? Not yet. I think it's just within the country still. I don't think. I don't.
No,
think,
NHL players are allowed
really?
to come back into the United States
Okay.
from Canada
but
right now.
I'm just
from
talking
Canada.
about like other like people you'll get in the meet in the casino and stuff like that. I think our borders are still closed. So I don't know. It's a crapshoot. It really is, and you know.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that?
well played. Yeah.
But who knows? Honestly, I hope
Maybe
it works
that's
out.
a little precursor to something in the future.
Exactly.
Huh?
Well, and you know, having a hub city potentially in Las Vegas. I mean, there's already a team there, right? The Golden Knights play there.
They're going to play up in Vancouver.
They've dealt with this. They have not decided cities yet.
Right.
They've narrowed it down to 6. But if they do pick Vegas, they've already got a team that's played there. We go out there and cover an event every December, and we've heard stories about what it's been like for the visiting teams coming in to play Vegas, and how they've adjusted their travel schedules a little bit due to you know, some things that may go on the night before the game.
Leave immediately after a game and get there just shortly before a game. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I think it was Herm Edwards who famously said nothing good happens after midnight, right? So,
Exactly.
and I think they may have found a better way to approach this. So when it comes down to the 2 hub cities and the 2 bubble cities, I think the NHL is going to be able to get things underway. I think the NBA is going to be able to get things underway. Major League Baseball will start. I'm the eternal optimist.
just
I
gonna
think
say,
everything.
wow, my gosh.
I think everything's going to at least begin. I will go as that. That's as far as I'm willing to go right now.
I just don't
they'll
think
all start.
basketball will get it off the ground,
You know, last week
unfortunately.
I would have agreed with you. I'm sorry, Mike, but last week I would have agreed with you. However, with this new quote-unquote outbreak now, it's, you know, especially in hot cities such as Florida and Arizona.
Well, that
I mean-
worries me too. Tampa obviously had their outbreak of 3 players and 2 staff in the hockey world, and then of course Austin Matthews in Toronto has it now too. So I think it's a little bit scary now. It starts to get real when a player like that comes down with it.
Well, and this is going to be the major question going forward, and I don't want to get too political here, and I know you guys don't want to do that either, but
Always like to get political.
when do you say, or when do you think we are going to see all the leagues back up and running to the way that I don't think it's ever going to be back to the way
Another year.
we remember it. But
Another year.
You think it'll be another year? So you think
Yeah.
the 21-22 season, things will get back to quote-unquote normal?
Well, it's not going to be normal unless they cancel the season completely. It won't be normal.
Unless COVID goes away, either by we come up with some medical way to get rid of it.
So we're thinking we have to wait till the vaccine
Could have
comes around.
election.
So-
Election could
but
get rid of it too. So you don't know.
Potentially. Thanks for the.
Speaking of coming in
Yeah.
hot over
Yes.
here.
So potentially a vaccine, or say it subsides, and we somehow get herd immunity, and it goes away that way. I just don't see that happening for 6 to 9 months.
You can send all of your concerns to @ChuckLasik on Twitter. You can find him there. You don't even have a Twitter,
I don't
right?
even have
Yeah, I
Twitter,
didn't think
no.
so. That's why I wanted to, just throw that one out there.
But I guess I wanted to chime in here. I know we were talking baseball, hockey, basketball. While I've been on break, funny enough, is that I'll be flipping channels, and I end up going to YouTube and watching YouTube videos, and I come up with these track and field videos. And
Oh,
I've
boy.
been watching track
sorry.
and field. I know, for whatever reason, whether it's a javelin throw, the hammer throw, long jump, I can't watch enough of it.
You went down the rabbit hole.
I did go down the rabbit hole.
It got you.
And I'm enjoying it. But the fun thing is to kind of go back and see the late greats. The great Olympians of our time, and like a Carl Lewis or somebody like that, and then see what is happening today. So,
and Carl singing the national anthem. Did you watch that?
I did.
gosh.
Yeah, okay.
I did.
That's an abomination.
All-time great right there. Eh?
That and
But
Roseanne Barr.
anyway, I had to bring up that I've been watching track and field videos.
That sounds like a segue to me.
Well, I don't know if it's a segue, but anyway.
I'm going to make it a segue so we can let everybody at home know. Episode number 2, we're going to be focusing on the Olympics and whether or not they actually will
Summer, unfortunately.
get underway next summer in 2021, of course, postponed to next year. If you have questions that you want to have us answer right here on the show, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at CIH Media. You can submit your questions on those platforms, and you might see them right here on the show, and we'll talk about them during episode number 2, which will be controlled by
Iceman.
the Iceman. Mike Perkins is going to be in control of that one. So look out for that one when we get to it in episode number 2. For those of you watching here today, this episode is for free. If you want to sign up for all the future episodes, you can go to cih-media.com and sign up for a premium subscription to catch all the future episodes of Comin In Hot. So Chuck, as we get ready to wind down this episode, what is your outlook for what you're going to do here now in the meantime until sports get back to normal?
Sleep.
First of all, you
That's
stole my
awful.
answer. That's one thing.
That's awful.
Honestly, no sleep. Honestly, there's really nothing to watch. I mean, I'll watch.
Soccer?
I can't. Soccer.
We got to teach this guy the rules. He might be able to have
Hey,
fun.
No, I've been catching up on all my
Australian rules football is
that's
going
not-
on right now.
No, that's what kicked off ESPN back in the early days. I got bored of that.
I watch AFL. You watch AFL?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Gosh, you guys need some help. Seriously, it's
I don't think anybody's ever.
No, I'm
disputed
becoming.
that.
I went from
Is
sports
this-
to
is
I'm
this right?
becoming Mr.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mr. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what it goes to or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking at. I've been doing just Netflix, honestly. Sports, like I said, I'll watch some of the throwback games and stuff like that with what we see here locally with Fox and the Ducks and stuff like that. But other than that, no.
Okay. What sports documentaries are on Netflix that we should be watching then?
Oh, I've
This
only
is all of a sudden turned into a commercial.
No, I haven't seen any sports documentaries.
Are you kidding me?
No, I've been watching that.
There's some good ones on there,
Oh, is
by
there?
the way.
Oh, I've been watching all the good ones, all the good shows and stuff.
The host of a sports show doesn't watch any sports documentaries.
Hey, I need to take a break once in a while. I have to become more well.
What episode of Ozark are you watching?
I'm done with Ozark. Ozark, great show, by the way. Great show. Season 3 will blow you away,
Well.
literally.
Maybe we'll get a Netflix sponsorship here sometime soon. Iceman, what about you? What are you going to do in the meantime?
I'm gonna continue to watch videos on YouTube. That seems to be my thing, right? Is to find a sport and go down that rabbit hole. For me, it was college hockey a lot too, and I love watching college sports in general, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, whatever it might be. But college hockey is king for me, and I suppose I'll be trying to find some college hockey games.
All right, well, there you go. And for me, I'm going to watch what's on TV right now. That's the most important thing for me. I was watching Premier League soccer earlier today before we came here to tape. So
My brother-in-law is English, so he's from
Oh, is that
actually
right?
England, so he'll text me and tell me what the scores are and stuff like that. And
does he have a team? What's his
yeah,
team? You know?
he is Manchester. He's at Man U.
United?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's Man U, so he's trying to get me.
We
on
asked
that-
before,
go down
so
that rabbit hole.
if I'm gonna pick a team to watch and be a
Leicester.
fan of, who's the grittiest team in the Premier League?
Well, I'm a Chelsea fan. They're not the grittiest team, but I'm a Chelsea fan. So you're already wearing blue. I don't see why you wouldn't just go with
Tottenham.
Chelsea.
Is it Tottenham? Tottenham.
We can't do Tottenham because we have a friend who's a
Man
fan of
U is the
Tottenham.
evil
We can't.
empire, correct?
Yeah, it's generally believed that Man U is the evil empire. Some people compare Chelsea to the Yankees as the Yankees of the Premier League. But, there's really
What about Liverpool?
we need to have an episode about this.
Yes.
No,
Liverpool,
stay
that's
away
where
from
the Beatles are
Liverpool.
from.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Beatles are from
The
Liverpool.
Beatles are from Liverpool. Stay away from Liverpool.
So there's my
Don't-
Can we
Yeah.
can we go out?
Although if you do support Liverpool, they are owned by John Henry, who's the principal owner of the Red Sox. So and LeBron James,
can,
they're both part
can we
owners
go
of Liverpool.
off the island and talk about Real Madrid or
No, that's-
Juventus?
If you
or-
want to, that's a separate league. But if you'd like to,
I mean,
Spanish La Liga.
Is it okay to be fans of those teams?
it's
I
fine.
mean, I got to learn more about soccer. I mean, I love the game of
Everybody
soccer.
knows Real Madrid and Barcelona. Those are the big two in Spain.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
It sounds like we need to have ourselves a soccer episode
All right, let's
sometime
do it.
soon. Let's
Put it on the books.
That's where I might be
I'll have to do some
practicing my
studying.
sleep.
just to see how many soccer questions we can get. I'm sure there'll be a lot. It's the most popular sport in the world, after all. So, hey, maybe we'll get some questions in a future show. But our next show, once again, is going to be about the Olympics. So, again, submit your questions to Twitter, Instagram,
Summer,
and Facebook.
unfortunately, not winter.
Yeah, that's right. The Summer Olympics. Well, the Winter Olympics aren't until 2022, so we got some
But
time.
I'd rather watch the Winter Olympics than the Summer Olympics anyway. So.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I'm dead
listen
serious.
to me. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
I love the Winter Olympics.
I love them both too.
No,
because I love the hockey portion of it, obviously.
Nope.
But I love Summer Olympics as well. And yeah.
Summer takes it for me. I like summer a little bit more. I love them. I love them both.
My sleep.
What is it that you like about Summer Olympics?
There's more events and there's just more variety. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
What, you don't want to watch every version of speed skating?
I do. There's just
Curling.
not as many
Curling.
versions as everything else.
Curling.
Team curling.
Team curling. I'll do
I'm team
individual
curling,
curling.
too.
Yeah. So honestly, that's. I mean, talk about a sport that's taken the country by storm. Basically, I mean, curling. I mean, you couldn't get enough of that 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, right?
It is
Yeah,
to
pretty
me the best beer drinking game there is, and I'm talking about horseshoes, and I'm talking about cornhole, and
That Canadian beer though has some has a high.
What is happening right
BAC
now?
right there? Not a whatever.
your show's getting hijacked.
Yeah, exactly,
Sorry.
Exactly.
Shocking. Oh, boy. Anyway, submit your Olympics questions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at CIH Media. We'll answer them right here on the show in our second episode. That'll be controlled by Mike, the Iceman Perkins, who'll be sitting right here in the hot seat. For Chuck, the Laser Lasik, Mike, the Iceman Perkins, I don't have a nickname. I'm Eric Pesolano. We'll see you next time when the three of us will be coming in hot.